on the 10-member committee set up by the Electoral Commission to come out with modalities for electoral reforms. Let's have a conversation around this. Why would the Progressive People's Party want to seek legal redress with regards to this? Kofi Siao Asamoah is National Secretary for this party. Hello, Kofi.
Yes.
Kofi, why would you want to go to court over this?
Well, first of all, we feel that we have not been treated fairly by the Electoral Commission of Ghana and the composition of the Electoral Reforms Committee. We received correspondence from the EC and requesting for 2 nominees from our party onto this committee sometime in September 2014. We wrote back to the Electoral Commission with the names. The EC wrote back to the PPP and said that we had misunderstood their earlier correspondence. What they actually meant was that the Electoral Reforms Committee is a committee of the Commission, and therefore the Commission had decided that the 4 seats that were supposed to be occupied by political parties, one will go to the National Democratic Congress, one will go to the New Patriotic Party, and that all the 21 other political parties, including the PPP, should have a forum and elect 2 representatives. We said that we had been shortchanged. It was impossible for other political parties to meet because there's no such forum in the first place called Other Political Parties Forum. What we know dealing with the Electoral Commission is the iPad. And secondly, why would you nominate 4 seats and give 2 to 2 parties and ask 21 of us to go and share the other 2? We felt that the Electoral Commission had not exercised this administrative power fairly, and we protested. But the Electoral Commission didn't mind and went ahead with the composition.
Right. Kofi, I'm just going to have you hold the line briefly. Christian Owusu-Pare, who is head of communications with the Electoral Commission, has joined our conversation, and let's talk to him briefly. He has to go. Christian.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us here. Now, the concern the Progressive People's Party is raising is the fact that you have clumped other political parties besides the NPP and the NDC as one and given them just 2 slots on the 10-member committee you formed to look into the electoral reforms. What will be your reaction to this?
Well, thank you very much. Yes, indeed, that is the composition of the Electoral Reform Committee. The committee is a committee of the Commission, and the Commission decided that the committee should be composed of representatives from the Electoral Commission, political parties, and civil society groups. So the arrangement was that the Commission will be represented by 3 people. Political parties will have 4 representatives, and civil society will have 3 representatives on the committee. On the basis of that, the political parties, the governing party was asked to bring 1 representative. The main opposition party was also asked to bring 1 representative, and the rest of the minority parties were asked to bring 2 representatives to the committee.
Now, Christian, that's where the problem is. The question then is, why would you clump up the others or put the others together and give them a slot?
My sister, there are 23 registered political parties in this country. You want to have 1 representative from every political party on the committee. And as the PPP itself did, in nominating 2 people to the committee. Even if we have to accept 1, that would be 23 for political parties. And then there will be civil society, there will be the Electoral Commission. Let me say that if we talk about reforms, we're not just talking about political parties. We're talking about the interests of everybody who is a voter in this country. So all other groups, apart from political parties, also need to be represented. And that is why we say civil society must have representation. Indeed, at some other forum, I was asked whether we're taking care of the Christian Council, whether we're taking care of Peace Council and several other bodies. My explanation then was that, well, these are groups that belong to one of the three civil societies that we have given representation, so they were sufficiently represented. Indeed, there are several other groups that could have asked for representation on the committee.
But Christian, there's no denying.
Hello.
Right.
But we have to find a committee that is workable. The size must not be unwieldy, so that at least they can have some meaningful discussion and arrive at some conclusions. And that is why we said a committee of 10 will be okay for the electoral reform.
Which is no problem, and that's a point well made. Now, the Progressive People's Party, I'm happy about this. And so if we had to make a representation of political parties on this 10-member committee, why didn't all the political parties just come together and bring their four representatives instead of single out the NDC, the NPP, and the rest? That is the contention for the PPP.
I do not think that is discriminatory and that violates any rule at all. No, I do not think it is discriminatory. I was expecting that rather the PPP at the party level, when we said they should meet and nominate two people, it would have made its voice heard at the party level, so that probably they could have pushed for their representatives to be nominated to the committee.
Christian, I'm going to have you hold the line briefly. Kofi Sian-Asamoah is with the he's National Secretary for the PPP, and he's here with us. Kofi?
Yes.
So you heard Christian. What do you have to say?
Well, I've understood everything that Mr. Usupari has said. The point that we want to stress is that in determining the parties that sit on the 4 seats that were available for political parties, the Electoral Commission, in the exercise of that discretion, should have referred to the political parties law so that we have a definition of what a political party is. That definition does not include the party that governs. That definition does not include the party that has the second largest seat in parliament. That definition does not include who is the biggest opposition party in Ghana. So if you use these selection criteria and select NPP and NDC to go and have majority or half of the seats that were available to political parties, that is not fair.
But
so
Kofi,
yes,
like Christian explained, really, what's wrong with that? If the NDC MPP have been given slots, and the remaining 21 or so I asked to bring two representatives, why wouldn't you just meet and bring your representation? What's wrong with that?
There is everything wrong with that. You see, because we have to be treated as political parties on equal footing as long as the Electoral Commission keeps us on its register.
But the committee cannot take each and every political party.
And that is why in sharing the 4 seats for 23 political parties, there is a more proportionate manner in which the seats could have been distributed among the political parties. If you single out NDC because of what? They are in government. You single out MPP because of what? Because they have their largest political party or the
because they are the biggest opposition party,
yes,
perhaps.
The Electoral Commission, I should say, should be the last institution of state to be using unconstitutional criteria for allowing political parties participation in programs such as this. Over the years, we've had issues like political parties with representation in parliament. We've had issues like political parties that did well in the last election. A political party is a political party.
But then again, Kofi,
political party's law.
You admit that it's using its discretionary powers.
Yes, but if you have the Electoral Commission of Ghana that is supposed to be the referee of political party activities, accepting and subscribing to these unconstitutional criteria for recognizing political parties, it is very disturbing and worrying.
So now you want to go to court?
Yes, we believe that in this particular instance, the forces that the commission on its own independently decided that they would give to the political parties were not evenly and fairly.
So when are you doing that?
Well, hopefully by Friday we should be able to file the application.
I see. Kofi, thank you very much. Christian, so the PPP has decided to go to court. Your response to that?
Well, first of all, I don't know which provision of the Constitution that we have violated by saying that political parties should have 4 representatives and that the governing party should have 1 and the main opposition party should also have 1. I don't see which provision of the Constitution we have violated. Of course, we treat all parties equally. But when you have a committee to compose and you realize that it is impracticable to have a representative from every political party, some kind of arrangement has to be made. Indeed, this is not the first time we are using this arrangement to compose committees or the commission. You recall that when we were asked to work on the political parties law, we had 1 representation from governing party, and the opposition and the rest of them had lesser representation. That is the practice that we have followed.
Christian, I'm afraid we would have to end our conversation here.
And let me again say that the composition was indeed announced by the chairman at IPAC meeting. And at that meeting, there was no objection to why we are saying that the governing party should have 1 and the main opposition should have 1 and the rest of them should have 2 representatives.
So are you going to meet them squarely if they go to court?
My sister, the commission does not have the power to say somebody should not go to court. It is everybody's right if the person feels that he has been treated unfairly. If he wants to go to court to seek redress, it is his right and nobody can stop them from going to court.
Christian, thank you very much for your time. Christian Owusu-Parry is Director of Communications with the Electoral Commission. Well, that's how we end our conversation around the PPP, looking to the courts as far as their representation on the 10-member committee that is supposed to look into electoral reforms here in Ghana.